I've seen some things this week that have made me think. Let me tell you what
I'd
I've
make fun
seen.
of that, but I don't know what you're going to say, and we're on air, so I'll be nice.
Let
What
me
have
tell you what
you
I've seen.
seen?
Today I saw a man send a convertible to outer space and send the two rockets back down and land them in unison, like synchronized swimming or something. It's pretty amazing. I thought about humans and what we're capable of. But then I remembered that a couple days ago I saw a man eat horse shit off the ground in Philadelphia and realized that we're not all that great to begin with. So I guess let's talk about soccer. This is US Fan TV. I am Pat, and he is Chris.
I am Chris. Hopefully, there will be no horse shit eating on tonight's show.
For our younger viewers, if anybody ever dares you to eat horse shit off the ground, if anybody thinks it would be awesome for you to do
Not
that,
even just off the ground, just period.
that's true. It doesn't have to be, like they can serve it on a plate. It doesn't really matter. If anybody dares you to do it and you think you're drunk and you're like, I'm gonna be hilarious here. It's not hilarious. They're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you. And you're gonna get sick and maybe die. And maybe that's, just like the people who needed Gronk to tell them not to eat Tide. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we don't need these
Don't
people.
eat Tide Pods.
We have stuff to talk about. The presidential election is going to put itself out of its own misery in 5 days at SeaWorld.
Or put all of us into deeper misery?
I don't know. I don't know. There's stuff to talk about with that, though. Aron Johannsson scored and got hurt, which is about the perfect game for him. If you're going to sum
It's a
up
hat trick for him, isn't it?
It's some of his career. Pretty goal coming off at halftime. We'll talk about that. Geoff Cameron and his comments about Bruce, and then Bruce fires back. So that's what the bad egg or bad seed or whatever, bad apple, whatever the hell kind of bad thing he talked about. That's what he was talking about. And Jermaine Jones is going crazy on Instagram Live again, which is always fun when he does that. And who knows if what he's saying is true. But I think we should start with the news of the day, and that's Aron Johannsson. He's just one of those guys. If he could stay healthy, I hope this injury that took him out today isn't bad. But you saw his talent, and then you saw his problem.
Yep. I mean, at 27, I don't expect to really see him back for the U.S. ever again. Anyway, I would put him in the camp of players that I just don't think should get another shot. But you never want to see this happen, and it does kind of encapsulate his career. It's like, oh, look, he looked awesome. And he's hurt again. And to top it all off, it's his hip, which has been the problem for the last 3 years now, almost 4 years now. So you have to hope it's no big deal, but you kind of have to expect that it probably is. And maybe this is the end of his career,
He'll go somewhere else, and maybe he'll come here. There's no team in Alabama. He's got to be the only guy who's like an Alabama Icelandic guy. That's not the most common duo there. Maybe he'll come here.
Yes, Josie, Zusi, and Wando are all in that camp, Robert. Sorry to change the subject for a second there.
TJ Sala says Breckshay 2.0, maybe without the stoner garb, the parachute pants and whatever Breckshay wears, but yeah, talented dude, gets hurt a lot. I always wonder with these guys, and there's these guys in every sport. Some of the guys who get hurt a lot, it's purely bad luck, clearly. But I do wonder if with some of them, and I don't think it's the case with Aron Johannsson, but I do wonder with some of them if it is mental.
Maybe
Derrick Rose, I always wondered that about him. Maybe he just didn't. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't, but I wonder how much there is to do with that. But yeah, good for him, bad for him. Hopefully it's not that bad. I tried to find an update on how he's doing, and I don't.
Yeah, there's nothing so far. I think
because
it's still. Yeah. Well, because it ended up, it's already middle of the night basically in Europe, so presumably we won't get anything until test tomorrow at the earliest.
And we should mention briefly, if we're talking Bundesliga, Pulisic had an assist over the weekend in I don't think you can expect a much better debut from Mishi coming over and taking over for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. But
he went batshit crazy.
He did go batshit crazy. That's good. That's good. But yeah, the one thing that as talented as Christian is, he needs to do more of now. It's time to see more goal production and assist production, like actual, numbers need to go up for him. He's not producing enough. And so that's good that he had an assist, and hopefully there's more of that continuing. But yeah, good.
That is true. Yeah, his form has not been as good of late. I know we've had some people commenting lately about we're overhyping him because he hasn't been playing that well. And that's not what we've been getting at. But it is true that, you'd like to see more from him, especially when you're with a team that has kind of been struggling for a while.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where you can look at the game and go, he played well. But at some point, if you're an attacking player, playing well is not good enough. You need to actually put up numbers. So I hope that we're going to see a lot of goals and assists coming from him, and we can be happy and brag about someone, because we have a presidential race coming up. And all right, so we've talked about this. We have no idea who's going to win. We have no idea if it's going to be an entrenched candidate or if it's going to be an outsider. It's going to be a former player. We just know it's not going to be Hope. That's what we know. We know it's not going to be Hope. But yeah, I do wonder at SeaWorld on Saturday, and I still can't believe it's at SeaWorld, but it is, who's going to win and what it's going to mean. AO, American Outlaws, did a pretty good series of Q&As with the candidates, and in their straw poll, Kyle Martino won, which makes sense to me, because if you were looking at it like a political election, he's kind of the change, but not
he's
that
the same
aggressive.
Change.
Yeah, exactly. That's where he falls. And so you would expect in a political election, that's where he would fall. But it's not soccer fans voting on this. It's people with different interests and people who want things.
In a financial and connected election.
Right.
Election.
So it's going to be, I would be happy with Kyle Martino. I'd actually be happy with Eric Winalda. Although I sometimes wonder, I like what he said. But I do wonder how much behind the scenes stuff has gone on, and if it is going to be somebody who's attached to Sunil. God, I hope not. But then, I asked myself this too, is big picture, yeah, we want a new president. We want somebody who's going to grow the game and maybe get rid of pay to play and maybe take the chains off and bring in pro-rel and different things that maybe
move
would be
to
able to fix
a FIFA calendar.
Yeah, things that we've talked about. But ultimately, is this going to change something? Is this it? We're going to find out, I guess, if somebody like Winalda or even Kyle Martino gets elected, and then we hire somebody and we don't see a lot of progress in the next 4 years, we don't see a lot of change, you'll know that it's going to take more than a president. But maybe we will see a lot. Maybe we will. I have no doubt that Eric Winalda will try. I have no doubt that he will try something. He'll pull something. He'll do something if he gets elected to, even if it ends up in a lawsuit. That's the type of president I see him being. But, maybe that's what we need. We'll see. But I still have no idea who's going to win. But if I were betting, I would say it's either Kathy or Carlos Cordero.
Kathy Carter.
If it is her,
Kathy Carter.
Only good thing about her winning, and I'd be willing to give her the benefit of the doubt too. If she wins, I'm not going to write her off immediately. If she wins, I'm not going to write her off immediately. I'll give her a chance. But that song, the Kathy Carter, shit. Yeah, that's gonna be the only good part about it. So
vote for Kathy Carter, but don't vote so fast. And
How
if
many
you
of you
don't
guys
vote
actually
for
know what
Kathy,
we're doing?
stick it up, yo. Woo! You be voting.
How many of you guys watching right now actually know the song we're singing? I Be Strokin' by Clarence Carter. Maybe it's on Amazon Music. I don't know. You can go look.
Should be. It's on YouTube. You can find it. I listen to it from time to time.
Don't ever believe what you
I
see
happen
on
to
YouTube.
like Clarence Carter.
Don't ever believe what you see on YouTube. God, though. Some of the stuff.
I mean, speaking of the election, it's looking more and more like it is the Kathy Carter show, or maybe Kathy Carter and Carlos Cordero, but most certainly that it is the Money Connection show, which I suppose, well, right back to when we talked about Sunil was going to may or may not run. We were projecting who the candidates could be, and we said from the beginning it's going to be an insider candidate, and it looks more and more like it is. It's coming out just how obviously it looks like that some and USSF are going to use their money to make the candidate they want win. When even Julie Foudy, who seems, I mean, I don't. Did we talk about her back in the early days as someone who maybe should run as like
I know Grant Wall was pushing her. Yeah.
And now it seems like Julie Foudy may be leading the charge to make the status quo continue. You know, she was called out by Hope Solo last week for hosting a call of some candidates for with the Players Council. She claims they didn't talk about who they were going to vote for, but they talked about how they could vote as a block.
Yeah, I didn't understand what she meant by that.
Yeah, you have to wonder, how can you talk about who, well, how can you talk about the power you would have by voting together and not go, but who are we going to vote for? We'd be really powerful if we just picked one candidate. I don't know who that candidate's going to be, but we'd be really powerful if we picked them. Okay, well, if you don't know who that candidate is, then there's no point in voting as a block. So she's flat out lying. I mean, this is actually, I kind of give props to Hope Solo for calling her out on it. It was strange to me to see like former teammates, you know, not to say that players, the players on any team ever truly get along as human beings, but it's strange to see people who know each other pretty well that openly like confrontational on social media, on a public platform.
We also saw it in a few other cases this week. Geoff Cameron, Jermaine Jones, but unrelated to the race. But yes, that was interesting. Christian says that the U.S. doesn't qualify for the 2022 World Cup. Will be the same crap that continues? I think if you replayed the 10 games that we played in this current round, even with the problems that we had, I think if you rolled the dice 10 times, I think we may be down. Are we?
You went black on me. My feed went blank, and then it says chat disconnected. Oh wait, now people are back talking, so maybe we're back.
I see everything just fine here.
All right.
But I think if you replayed those games 10 times, 9 of the times we'll qualify. It was a lot of different things that came into play, and again, we deserve to not qualify. But every little bounce of the ball, the Panama goal that wasn't, or you know, what if we didn't let the header? What if we marked Rafa Marquez? We weren't. That it's not that hard to qualify is what I'm trying to say. As bad as we were, it's not that hard to qualify from CONCACAF. So what's happening here is we're probably going to qualify in 2022. Even though we've got a lot of youth players that we're excited about, even if we didn't, we would still probably qualify. And then after that, we're either going to be the host, or at the very least, we're going to be playing in a 48-team tournament. So we're going to qualify then too. So there's less incentive to change things, is what I'm trying to say. The change has got to be now, because if it's not now, it's never going to happen, because we're probably going to make the next 2 World Cups. And after that, with a 48-team World Cup, we're probably going to make it.
You'd have to think. You'd have to think this is the last time we don't make it.
Right. So
I mean, now granted, we thought the last time we didn't make it was going to remain 1986, but you know, so these things happen. But yeah, with an expanded field anyway, and our team getting better, you'd have to think that there's enough money, enough incentive in the U.S. to at least keep us far enough ahead of or at the lead of the pack, we'll say, not ahead of the pack, but at the lead of the pack in CONCACAF, that we should qualify, especially at a larger tournament. But I guess whatever, we didn't see this one coming either. So, but no, I do think you're totally right that change has to happen now. This is the time for it. This is when we have to look at the foundations of the sport and how we're going to correct them, support them, buttress them, something. So, or just smash them and recreate them. I don't know, but this is the time to look at what's next. What do we want to do to build that future?
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of the election, I did want to bring these up because I was writing down some notes for Kathy Carter, noting some AKAs for her. AKA the candidate we already knew would win anyway, AKA Cheryl Blazer, AKA Where's Loretta Lynch, AKA Sepp Blatter's next vote for clemency.
I don't know. Is this thing like televised in any way? How are we going to know?
This revolution will not be televised.
Is there going to be white smoke coming from SeaWorld to let us know that there's been an election, or black smoke?
It'll all be shaped like Shamu.
They're going to light Shamu on fire.
This will be whitefish. They had blackfish. This will be whitefish. The next investigation or whatever, like a documentary about the shams going on at SeaWorld.
And the way this is all gone, I would give
Christian
it at
says
least
it'll be on
10%.
FS1.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
It sucks it'll be a little bit later in the day because I may already be taking a nap after being up to out to watch the North London Derby this Saturday.
What are the odds that we don't elect someone, that somebody pulls some technicality, or there's some court injunction, or something happens, some bullshit comes up that delays this whole thing? I think there's a decent chance.
I don't see any chance of it because I think, especially with like this Wasserman Media Group thing, where they are pumping players to vote for Kathy Carter. She has close ties to them. Speaking of Bruce Arena, we'll have to come back to that. He is a Wasserman client. I'm curious. I tried to look this up, but I couldn't find the answer. If Stu Holden is, after the way he towed the company line on why we lost Jonathan Gonzalez. That'll get us into Sunil Gulati's comments, which few people have asked about. Christian, I know. We'll get to that in a minute to talk about what he had to say at that I can't think of the name of it, but the youth thing a few days ago. If nothing else, I think the money's just going to pull it. I think basically they're doing what FIFA has done on a larger scale, and that's they're pumping all these little groups to come in as a block and vote for the candidate with money, and promising them things or suggesting they won't get future opportunities if they don't vote for Kathy Carter. I mean, it's effectively how Sepp Blatter kept winning elections. He just got small countries to vote as blocks in his favor because there were kickbacks to it. That's essentially what Wasserman has been accused now, or suggested of doing toward athlete councils. And that's kind of the rumor of what the Julie Foudy call was, that they were told, there may not be opportunities for us, wink, wink, if we don't vote the right way, wink, wink, in the election. So I don't know. I have trouble believing that there won't be a decision. I have trouble believing at this point that it's not Kathy Carter. At the very least, I think it's going to be Carlos Cordero. And I don't know that that's any better. I think it's just a different kind of moneyed grab. But I don't see it being. I don't believe it's going to be Kyle Martino. I think the worst part to all this may not even be that one of these insiders gets it, so much as the people who had ideas to change, you have to assume those bridges are burned. They're not getting another shot
Yeah,
into
that's
U.S.
true.
soccer because Kathy Carter's not going to risk losing her power base, by having Kyle Martino on the inside trying to smooch, kiss up to board members of the board. That's all those people are out now.
I would
You'd have
assume.
to expect anyway.
I would assume, and I don't know this to be true, but the way they made it seem was that if Kyle loses, he's going to go back to NBC and do Premier League games, and I think they do the Premier League pregame and halftime show. And to me, if I were him, if I'm not getting the main job, I don't want to work with her anyway. I would rather just go back into TV.
But you could somehow get a job in U.S. soccer. And I mean, what positions are paid besides like the employee positions? Like you could have some kind of council position.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Maybe somewhere on, maybe not on the board of directors, but some kind of advisory job that doesn't have to be paid. So you there still could be things available. I mean, come on, they've all but I think everyone has accepted that Sunil is going to have some kind of advisory position in the World Cup bid. So there will be, I think, roles available, but you'd have to imagine that anyone who undercut in any way some power is not going to have a shot at getting a role in ever, probably.
Yeah, it's my understanding Sunil is staying on for the World Cup bid because initially I thought his position on in that group was contingent upon his being the president of U.S. Soccer, and I don't believe it is from what I read. He's in that group going forward, so I think that he's going to be our World Cup bid guy, and he'll see that through. Which, to be honest, for everything you would have to say negative about Sunil, I don't know that we want to change that at this point and rock the boat.
Yeah, I don't know that changing that's the best.
Sunil is the guy for that job, I think. So, we may have had struggles on the field and we haven't improved like we wanted to, but Sunil's good at that stuff. So,
Yes, Robert, I do think that the reason more sports media isn't talking about this is because it's not a bigger, a cause célèbre, as they say. It's not a household issue to most places. And Sports Center, especially since ESPN stopped really paying for soccer coverage, just doesn't care enough. And
they don't promote stuff. Yeah, they don't cover stuff. They don't have it.
Who gets their sports news from other places unless they go look for it?
The thing, what the hell was I going to say? Get distracted there off something. You go ahead.
No, Dominic, we've not talked about Jermaine Jones yet either, but
yeah, we have to talk about Jermaine Jones.
That's another one we will bring up because that's interesting too. But anyway, I'm hopeful it's not going to be Kathy Carter. I mean, as an Arsenal fan, I know all too well the pains of supporting a team I want to see win and an organization that I want to see die. And I don't want to have to go through that with the national team as well.
Although at Arsenal, like what a lot of people believe, there could be the catalyst within the organization.
Maybe some things are changing there. But if this happens with U.S. soccer, I mean, but I guess I could keep using the analogy of Arsenal here and say, look at how many years I've gone through, like, just fire him or just retire, you old fool. Retire, give up.
You don't call him fool.
That's true. I do sometimes. I call him the doddering man sometimes too. But much like St. Totteringham's Day is the day that Spurs can no longer catch Arsenal in the league, I call Doddering Man's Day the day that the doddering old man has screwed Arsenal into not surpassing Spurs. But anyway, whatever. I know, like I said, I know all too well the pains of supporting a team that I want to see win, but an organization that I wholeheartedly am disgusted with and sometimes hate. I don't want to go through that with U.S. soccer. I mean, the last 7 years now have been hellish at times as an Arsenal supporter, because it's like you want to see them win, but you also know that this just means that, this next victory means, no change is coming now. No, that just papered over the cracks for that. And so, you're constantly caught in this limbo, and I don't want that with the national team as well. Like, don't ruin this for me, U.S. Soccer, please.
Although the standards are kind of different. Like with Arsenal, we get upset when they don't win the Champions League. Joke, we haven't been in the final in many years now, or we don't win the Premier League. Again, it's been a long time. And so it feels like constant failure. With the U.S., we don't actually expect them to win the World Cup. I mean, I do expect them to qualify for it, so that feels like failure. But I don't expect them to win it. Getting out of a group always seemed like, it's okay. I want to do better than that, but that doesn't feel like failure. That just feels like where we should be. And
You'd like to see us at least making a semifinal appearance on a, say, regular-ish basis. I think that would be the sign of an improving and world-class program.
Although, I mean,
we don't have the players
made a
to get us there
Turkey made a
consistently yet.
South Korea made a semifinal, didn't they? And then, it doesn't automatically mean, hell, Italy's won it, and the Netherlands made a final recently, and they didn't make this one. So it doesn't mean it's not always going to be, constantly on the uphill. There's going to be downhills, but we just didn't expect in this confederation that we would have to deal with not making a World Cup. I'm still excited for the World Cup. I've kind of forgotten that we didn't make it, and I'm still looking forward to it. So. Just maybe not as much, but yeah. Geoff Cameron?
Cameron or Jermaine Jones.
You got to do Sunil first.
Outspoken. Oh, yes. Yes. Some outspoken members of U.S. Soccer recently. Sunil, where to begin? What a defensive, petty little prick. Like, he claims that, the only thing that went wrong, we're all just fools because we can't see that it was just one game. It was just one game that we lost. Oh, just one game. No big deal. There's nothing to see here. And then he goes with like all these stupid, petty defensive reasons why everyone's wrong and really he's great. Like, talk about just a ham-fisted politician trying to build his legacy.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem to get that from a public relations standpoint, that's the opposite tact that he should take.
Yeah.
He could do he doesn't have to be the defensive little prick. He could be I'm sorry, I'm as disappointed as you are. I'm probably more disappointed than you are. We're doing a lot of things right, but obviously there's some things we need to look at going forward and improve. We should never find ourselves in this position again. Stuff like that make people go, okay, he gets it. But when he does that, you're not going to
shows how little. It shows how little U.S. soccer understands or cares about what has happened. I mean, I think you could point straight back to the ticket prices that we talked about last week at that atrocity, Travisham mockery of a game versus Bosnia. Those prices were outrageous because U.S. soccer just didn't care. They didn't look at the situation and go, you know what? Maybe we've put our fans through enough. Maybe we owe them something. Maybe we should be the ones to give here. They went, nope. What do you got for us today? And that's all Sunil is. That's all he's doing still. He's not going, well, I failed. And that's why I've chosen to no longer run for another term, because I feel like U.S. soccer needs to make positive change. And I feel like I failed and didn't bring about that change. And I want to see new progress, and I think we need new blood to make that happen. And I want to support a brighter future for U.S. soccer. But nope, instead he was like, oh, look, everything I did was awesome. You guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. I mean, it was a bit like Klinsmann right before he got fired, I think it was, when he said, like, Americans just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. That was the By the way,
I'm smarter than you defense.
that was the only video we couldn't sell ads for on YouTube because it felt it was offensive because I think I had,
because we call ourselves stupid Americans,
right, we were
like
calling
straight up the bat.
ourselves that, but their systems believed it was something that no advertiser would want to touch. So, um, I
Technically,
kept
Christian, yeah,
that video.
Gulati could run for as many terms as he wants. Um,
No, they did put a limit on it.
so he still has
This would
one
have,
more at least. Or, well, is it consecutive terms or is it total terms?
I think it's probably total, but I don't know. But yeah, either way he could run again
Yeah.
if he wanted to, but I don't, you know.
You have to assume that anyone out is out. I mean, international football is such a shady, probably worse than the IOC kind of cesspool. So who knows? But you have to assume that once, unless like something unforeseen happens, like the next president dies in office and they have to find someone, you have to assume that anyone there is probably going to start a run, sort of like Sunil's, and this is it for him. I mean, he's only what in his 50s, I think, maybe 60 now. I don't remember exactly, but because well, he was in college as he basically was brought in. I mean, his whole relationship with U.S. Soccer started because he was basically a tutor to like the '90 World Cup team. Um, so he was presumably like a master's student or something at that time. So in his 20s probably. So he'd probably born sometime in the 60s.
He is
But anyway,
58,
whatever. Okay,
says
so
Robert. That's
almost
much
almost
better
60.
than your
There you
working
go.
out his age
Yeah,
live on
live on
air.
air. But anyway, you have to assume that anyone who gets elected at this point probably has a long enough run ahead of them that he's not coming back. I mean, you wouldn't expect him to come back at 65 or 70. Um, so you have to think he's probably, as the face of U.S. soccer, done, regardless of what his allowable terms are. Anyway, whatever. That's
Ortega doesn't believe that Christian Pulisic would start for the Mexican national team. Talk to me when one of your players is playing for a team as big as Borussia Dortmund, and we can talk. You can have your Chucky, your Dutch league goal scorer, but Josie Altidore was a Dutch league goal scorer, and we saw what happened with that. So, yes, Christian would start for the Mexican national team. That's not to say the Mexican national team isn't way better than the U.S. at this point, but he's good enough to start for the Mexican national team. But as we've often pointed out, sometimes, especially leading into World Cups, Mexican fans, some of them, a lot like English fans, believe that their players are actually the best in the world. This is why they believe Chicharito is like a world-class striker and stuff like that. He can't score at West Ham. But this tends to happen. So this is a common thing, and it's not a big deal. And normally we're in a position where we get to make more fun of it. But since we didn't make the World Cup, what are we going to do? So go ahead and make fun of us. We don't care. There's nothing we can do about it at this point.
To Jermaine. How Jermaine?
Jermaine says
what about Jermaine?
The thing when he came over to MLS and they had the blind draw, it was rigged to send him to New England over Chicago.
Which we called at the time, too.
It sure seemed like it, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. The league creates new rules when they want the Galaxy to do something, when they need to get a player to LA. And they'll do anything when Bob Kraft says so. And frankly, I believe the NFL does the same thing, but short of maybe this past Super Bowl. But yeah, so I wasn't surprised to hear that. It does, though. I saw today on Twitter, like some journalists were claiming, "Oh, it's all crap," that they saw the draw happen live. Yeah, there's still that rumor. What's the one about the frozen envelope in the? Was it the Shaq draft? Which one is from the NBA that happened live on TV and everyone still claims it was rigged?
Or Jimmy Conrad's warm balls thing from the World Cup draw.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, I
Warm
mean,
balls. Jimmy Conrad's
I
warm
do love.
balls.
He sells shirts that say "Warm Ballers." It's amazing. That
We
guy's
tried to get
cool.
him on this show.
Well, we could try
We should
again,
try
but
again. Yeah.
we don't know. We don't care. Um,
Who did LA get? I just mean like every single
Everyone.
time they've wanted
Yeah.
someone to get they've like any. Oh, we needed we need to find a way to sign players who cost more money. Oh, let's create a new rule for David Beckham. Where did he end up? Then suddenly there are two DPs. Well, it was because
Then
LA
three.
wanted a new guy. Now there are three DPs on a team. Lo and behold, who was trying to sign a third player over the average salary? Whatever.
So
How do
yeah,
I think Marcelo Balboa would do as president, even though he's not running? Edgar. Uh, I don't know. I loved Marcelo as a player. I have hated him since. I am so glad that he's not generally on my TV as an announcer anymore because he used to drive me nuts. That said, I did really want to meet him. I was pissed that whatever it was a year or two ago, so whatever I can't remember what game we were at where he was like signing autographs and stuff, and we showed up like 30 seconds too late. They gave us like a signed picture of him, but we didn't get to go up and talk to him. I loved
I
him as a
talked to
player.
him
He
that
was
day. You were
awesome,
late.
but you did?
I did. I went up with Finn.
Dick.
He was cool. Yeah, another failure for you. Another failure for you. Geoff Cameron. That was interesting. So remember when Bruce was saying that there were bad eggs or whatever, and one of them would be in the New York Times. Turns out that was Geoff Cameron, and he really, really hates Bruce, and we kind of knew that. I wasn't surprised by the fact that he hated Bruce because he had tweeted about it before and stuff like that, made snide comments, but just the directness of it was pretty interesting to me.
It was interesting to me, but it's not unheard of for players to like come out and say things like when they're angry about something, to either say something about a coach or another player or whatever. Part of it is they're still young, kind of. And I mean, he's older for a player. He's fairly experienced at this point, we'll say. And he seems to have generally a pretty level head on him. He knows when he says things, he knows why he's saying it. Like the political things that he's gotten into over the last year or so, he knew why he was saying the stuff he said. He didn't just spout things off without thinking about it. He knew what he was getting into. So it's strange to hear that that's something that direct from someone like Geoff Cameron, but it's not unbelievable to me that a player would come out and say something. What I thought was unbelievable was that Bruce responded. Like, when do you ever see a coach turn around and blast the player back?
Yeah.
Coaches are supposed to be, I don't know, older, more mature, calmer, whatever. And here he was like, yeah, well, Jeff's like an okay player when the moon and stars and the sun and everything aligned.
The part that bothered me the most was that he said that he cited we had a losing record with Jeff.
Oh yeah, and it turns out
a losing
like
record
the opposite
with Christian Pulisic.
Yeah.
Why are you singling out Jeff? It's not Jeff's fault.
Yeah.
And yeah, at the end
frankly, our defense was better when he was out there. I don't care what Bruce Arena says. Our defense was better when he was out there.
Yes. I start Jeff over Omar. And
100%.
Yeah.
100% of the time. And, his Cameron's comment is that Arena said that he didn't think I was fit yet, but he had just played 90 minutes for Stoke the week before.
And immediately after that game, he went back and played for Stoke too. So
he had it there. I mean, his thing, and it sounds like this may be kind of the final straw with him as far as Bruce is concerned, is that he feels like it's an affront to him as a professional that Bruce questioned his conditioning. And Bruce instead is like, yeah, well, I mean, he even says, like, if he had said, look, I thought you played like crap in the last game, because Cameron kind of acknowledges that he did, I feel like you played like crap and I don't want to play you. He goes, that would have been okay. Now, who knows? Maybe that's just what somebody's saying, kind of like Sunil's version of what happened with U.S. soccer. But I don't know. He says this, and then Bruce comes out and like hammers him for the like being not a quality player, which just seems insane to me.
Am I
Now,
crazy with him? Like we went through this with Klinsmann with him too. Like, Klinsmann didn't like him, and remember all the time that Geoff wasn't with the national
yeah,
team.
yeah.
What I look at him and I'm like, yeah, he's incredibly versatile and he's one of our best defenders. And then these coaches go, they know something we don't know apparently, or I don't.
I mean, maybe he's just an arrogant prick, you know.
There may be
He
that.
he lives alone apparently.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have time for other people, so maybe other people don't want to be around him.
I mean, I wonder if that's not it. People don't like being around him, and so they just don't call him in. But I have to believe there's more of those guys on the team that did make it. So I don't know. I
And
like
how many people do you know who have like outspoken political beliefs and voice them and are like fun to be around, whether you agree with their political beliefs or not?
that is true. The militant people on either side of the spectrum are always the ones that are like, okay, calm
You're
down,
like,
dude. This is a
yeah,
party.
I can't listen to this anymore. Just go
Yeah.
away.
Or your
And
Facebook feed, mute, mute,
yeah,
mute.
and he kind of sometimes rides that line where it's like, if this is what he's saying on Twitter or whatever, like out in public, what's he saying in private?
Yeah. All I remember is Bobby when he was on the show describing Geoff Cameron and what it's like to actually play against him and the skill level that he has, and you know, Geoff Cameron needed to be out there. Have we covered it? We've covered it.
Yeah. Did we? I thought. I'm checking here to see if there was another question that I thought someone was asking if we were going to bring up, and I think I said we were going to, but I don't remember if we got to
I had
it.
a
I can't
great
remember what it was
point
now.
about 20 minutes ago that left my brain, and I couldn't get it to come back the whole time. Yeah, it's gonna kill me. It's like the Seinfeld where Costanza thinks of the jerk store joke. It's gonna come back later, and I'm gonna be pissed. We're gonna have to do a special show tomorrow. Yeah. All right. This is US Fan TV. We have social media, but you know that we do the Twitter. We don't really do the Facebook or the Instagram, but we have them, so you can support them if you want to. We hate Snapchat. Yeah, we have the Craigslist, but you got to be in the secret club and you got to know the password and whatnot. YouTube, subscribe. We're almost at 1,200 subscribers. If we're not there already, it was very close earlier today. So subscribe if you haven't. Tell all your friends to do the same. Tell them we do these shows on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. in the Eastern time zone of the United States. Chris, do you have any final words?
I do not. So thanks, everybody. You're done.
All right, you're done.